Hello and welcome to this recorded version of our webinar about using Mathletics to support teaching and learning with the White Rose Maths scheme of learning. So in this webinar, we're going to be covering the White Rose Maths alignment documents. I'll be showing you where to find those. We'll go through creating groups and assigning those groups the White Rose Maths courses. So both the course and also the Skills Quest course. We'll go in and we'll have a look at how you can assign those White Rose Maths course activities, how you can also assign the White Rose Maths skills quests, how you can access the Mathletics workbooks, how to use assessments and the fill learning gaps feature, and we'll also be looking at how you can track progress and usage. When we do these sessions live, of course, we do questions and answers throughout the session. But as this is a pre-recorded version of the webinar, I won't be stopping for questions. So webinars normally last an hour, but this will last a little bit less because of no questions. If you do have questions, though, remember to email those through to the team cm@3plearning.com. So first of all, we're going to jump into the programme and I'm going to be showing you on the way where the curriculum alignment documents are, and then we'll be setting up our groups. What you will find is that I'll just keep coming back to this PowerPoint just to make sure that I remember to cover everything that I'm planning to cover with you. So jumping out of the PowerPoint, I'm coming across to the Mathletics website, and I'm going to come down to Why Mathletics and down to Curriculum Aligned here. So if I scroll down this page, then at the bottom here, you'll see there are curriculum documents for England, Ireland and Wales. And you'll see that we have for each term White Rose Maths documents. So as we're in the summer term at the moment, I'm going to click here. My demonstration class is year 3, so I'm going to download the guide for year 3. I'm now going to just go across to the White Rose Maths website, and we're just going to go to the primary area, and I'm just going to open up for you the scheme of learning from White Rose Maths. So obviously these fabulous schemes are available from White Rose Maths. The scheme is available free of charge and I know is very popular with lots of schools. And so Mathletics has made sure that any school that uses the White Rose Maths scheme of learning, that we have Mathletics courses to support you. So here, if I look at year 3 and we look at the summer term, you'll see the topics that are covered. And if you click into view, it will also give you the detailed planning for those weeks. Now, if we come back to the White Rose Maths document here, we're talking about the summer term. So if I just enlarge that, you'll see here the topics there matching in with the planning that we've just briefly looked at. And when I scroll down, you'll see the White Rose Maths small steps, and you'll see how those link back to the national curriculum outcomes. And then underneath, you'll see for each small step, the Mathletics activity. You can see examples from the printables, examples from other areas across Mathletics. So there we've got an example from Rainforest Maths. So this document, if I scan through for each of the small steps, gives you activities, workbooks, and additional areas of Mathletics to support you with each of those small steps. So that's a really useful document, and I'd really highly recommend downloading and using it alongside your planning. We're also going to have a look in Mathletics at another area, so understanding practice and fluency, now really referred to as skills quests. And in here, you'll see again that you can download this guide from here. You can also download it in the program, and I'll show you where it is in the program. And if we just scroll through this, then again, you'll see for each year group here um, all the content. And if we just scroll through here, you see the outcome, the quests, and the content that's covered within each of those quests as well. So those documents really useful in giving you that link between Mathletics and the White Rose Maths scheme of learning. So let's then sign into Mathletics. So coming in here, teacher demonstration login. And if I come up here to manage students, then you'll see that I've already come in. And so now my year 3 class are all there assigned the White Rose Maths courses. Now, by default, if you're teaching year 3 in the UK, then the course that would be assigned to your class would be the England year 3 course. So how I've done that change is I've come to groups here, and here I've got United Kingdom year 3, and then under the drop down, originally it said year 3 there, and originally it said year 3 there. So if we just click to save those, so I'm just going to do England year 3 and England year 3, and we save that. So now that's how it looked when I first came in, but because I'm using White Rose Maths, I've come in, come to my group, and I've selected White Rose Maths and White Rose Maths, and then I'm saving that there. So there's all of those courses updated. Now, if I've got children in the class that are not working at age-related expectations, so those courses are not applicable for them, I simply come to groups here. I'm going to add a new group. So children don't see the group name, so name it however it's referred to in your planning. So this group of children are working, for instance, at a year 2 level. Now, the skills quests, those questions are just a little bit trickier. So if they're children that are struggling, you might decide that in the default course area, you might not, and the default courses are what your children are going to be working on independently. So you can assign them skills quests still, so they can use that content, but you can assign it to them when you feel that it's appropriate. And by selecting no voluntary course here, all I'm doing is meaning that they're not going to be doing skills quests independently. I'm also, though, I'm going to give them the White Rose Maths Year 2 course as their key course there. So we'll save that. And now I'm just going to select a couple of students. So these are my students that I want to move into the group. So I simply select them and select the red group and move them in there. Okay, I'm going to go into the student console now so that you can just see what the setups look like. So let's first of all go in as Marty. So we're going to go in as Marty. So into Mathletics, and we'll sign in as Marty. And while that's loading up, I'm also going to get Mathletics ready so that we can sign in as Alfie. So we're also going to be going in as Alfie. He's in that little group. Right, so here's Marty. So you can see purple, his to-do list. These are the activities that his teacher has assigned. And I'm going to be showing you how you can do that, how you can assign quests and activities that align to White Rose Maths. And then if we go across to explore, this is where the student works independently. So we can see in the activities, this all aligns to White Rose Maths. So we've got all the topics covered in the autumn, all the topics covered in the spring, and at the moment, we've got also those topics covered in the summer term. I am going to show you in a moment how we can hide the topics that haven't been covered yet. So that's really important more in the autumn term, so that when you start in the autumn term, I'd be just showing the topics maybe for the first half of the autumn term. And then as you work through each topic, add that topic in. And that's just going to stop students racing ahead and maybe developing misconceptions by sort of learning without being taught in class and sort of racing ahead. So I always like to, within the activities, assign everything that we're doing at the moment, and then over the year keep open what has been covered so children can keep recapping previous learning. If we come across to the quest area here, now quests, we can't hide any of these topic bars. So when you assign the quest course, you'll see here that my student has access to everything that is covered across the White Rose Maths curriculum. You'll see SU at the end there tells us that those are topics covered in the summer, SP in the spring term, A in the autumn term there. So we've got autumn, spring, and summer all showing there. Now, if we go across to Alfie, and remember I said, or Ash, if we come into Ash here, he's in that group of children that find maths a little bit trickier. So again, in his to-do list, he's got nothing assigned from his teacher at the moment, but his teacher can assign him quests. So he can have a quest to assign to him, but the teacher will assign them when they know that Ash is ready to complete that quest. And of course, activities aligned to White Rose Maths as well. But now if I go to Ash's area where he's working independently, now you'll see he doesn't have that tab that says quests on it. He only here has the activities. Again, at the moment, we've got all the activities for spring, summer, and autumn. Now, if I go back into the teacher console and I'm going to come down to courses and I'm going to come into my courses. And so we see there that we've got the England Year 2 White Rose Maths assigned to my red group. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pretend that this is the autumn term. So if this was the autumn term, I would be hiding all my summer content and my spring content. And I might even decide that I'm just going to leave the number addition and subtraction, and maybe we'll leave the money, and I'm going to hide multiplication and division to begin with. And I simply then select save. If I then go, let's just go back to those courses. And I'm going to go to the Year 3 White Rose Maths that I've just assigned to my class. So that's it there, show and hide. So now let's think that it is the summer term. So I'm leaving everything from autumn and spring. And we've just started work on fractions. So I'm simply hiding those 3 topics there. And I would come back and open those up as we started each of those topics. What does it look like for my students? Let's come back, let's refresh for Marty, and let's refresh the screen here for Ash. So there you go. So this is Ash. So this is my student that's just not quite as confident at maths and working a little bit below age-related expectation. So when he would start in September at the beginning of the autumn term, in here, when he works independently, this is just practicing what we're doing in the autumn term. In the to-do list, though, teacher can assign him quests and activities and assessments, so he can explore the breadth of other activities through the to-do list assigned to him when the teacher knows it's appropriate. He can, of course, still come across to play, so he's still practicing fluency in live mathletics. He's still practicing his times tables in multiverse. He can still get additional practice in rainforest maths there. And for the younger students, if they were still working on early place value and early addition and subtraction, then he can also go into play pause there. So there's still lots for Ash to do. If I come across though to Marty here, so Marty's at age-related expectation, he's more confident. So for him in Explore, so we've set that up as if it is the beginning of the summer term. So he's got everything that was covered over the year. And there he's now got the fractions aligned to what's being taught in the summer. And of course, from earlier in the year, he can see, for instance, here, we've got an activity in that topic bar that's actually in the red zone. So there's something there that he needs to go back and practice. So there, that activity immediately highlighting, come back and have another go at that. And you can see back from the autumn term, just a couple of activities there in amber. So you can see how the traffic lighting system encourages students to go back and just do a little bit more practice so that they move the amber activity across into the green. So you'll see with the green there, 10 out of 10 when we've done those. And of course, the gold bar to show that they've been achieved. You'll also notice down in the My Progress area here, if we click on that beige piece, so beige there, unattempted. So if he wants to fill his pie chart up, his My Progress pie chart, those are all the activities that he hasn't attempted yet. Next there, we've got the red activity, so he can come back and practice that one. And then he can also come through the My Progress area and make sure that his amber changes to green as well. So let's just come back to the PowerPoint and make sure that I've covered everything from here. So curriculum alignment documents, remember we looked at those before we logged into Mathletics. Then we went into the managed student area, we set up our groups and we assigned them the correct course. So the Mathletics course and the Skills Quest course, we set both of those up. Just that reminder for students below age related, there is the option that you don't have to assign the Skills Quest course there. Then let's just have a look at the next screen. Yes, I showed you how to modify that White Rose Maths course. So remember, we did that again. We did that coming into courses, across to my courses, and we used the show and hide function in there. So let's now, I'm going to go across and we're going to go in and have a look at how to assign the White Rose Maths activities. So you'll see at the moment, my students here, so Marty, he's got quests assigned to him, but he has no activity. And we remember too that there's no number above the purple to-do list, so Ash hasn't got anything assigned either. So let's come down the left-hand side here to assign and review. And here in assign and review, we're going to look at assigning these course activities. So simply click in here. So because we've already set up the White Rose Maths course, that's what's shown here. So we've got autumn, spring, we've got it all across the top. If we do the topic selector, so I'm going to unselect everything and come down to, let's go to the summer term and we're looking at fractions. So we apply the filter there. So here under fractions, we've got all the different activities. And if we want to know what is that activity all about, simply click on it. You'll see there we've got teacher notes. So if we open up the teacher notes, this gives you examples of the questions. It shows you what the support looks like in the activity, gives you some hints there. And this one too, at the bottom, we see easier, medium and harder example. So you know that that activity moves through 3 levels of difficulty. So let's then come back here, and if I wanted to preview the activity or I want to demonstrate it on my interactive whiteboard, simply click in here. So now I can show my students. So the question 1/3, it gives me a hint here. Click on the brick. So there's my 1/3, and I want to see how many 6, so I can click in there. So I can see that 2/6 is equivalent to 1/3. Remind your students that if they're not sure, to click on that I button and there work through that series, and that's going to support them in completing that activity. Now, these activities, you can see they've got 10 questions to work through, and each of the questions has got a similar format. So once students know how to do the first question, then they're able to keep moving through these questions. And like I say, if they get stuck, they've got detailed support when they click on that I button. So I always recommend that when you start a topic, get children started on these activities. These are great for building up that confidence and for mastering those skills that they're learning. So let's come out of that activity now. So we've been able to model it by using preview, but don't forget too that you can also demonstrate by coming down to the student here. So student view, select my class, into primary. And this time, if I wanted to model the activity, I'd come across to explore here. And then in the activities there, it's going to give me the same look and feel as my students have got. Remember, with the teacher version, if you've hidden some of the activities, because teacher has access to the complete course, they don't appear hidden here. And again, that's great if you want to just say, next week, I'm going to open this topic bar. It will be open for the teacher, so you can always demonstrate some of the activities that you're about to set live for them. So if we come in here, again, that activity there, we would be able to model it on the interactive whiteboard from there as well. So now that I've modeled it, let's come back and let's see how I can assign it. So let's just close down some of these links along the top. Look after my internet. I'm actually going to leave that one open, but we'll close down that one there. Okay. So to assign that activity to everybody, I simply click there and select assign. So assign it now. And you also saw that I had the option to assign it and set it to go live later. Okay, if you do the assign later, you can set the time that it's going to go live. Now remember too that I had another group, so click for the other group. So there's May and Ash. And again, I can have a look and see what I'm covering with them. Let's unselect everything. So there's some fraction work. We might well be doing fractions. They're joining in, but when they're working and when I'm assigning them work, I want to assign them something a little bit easier. So there, I'm going to give them that activity there, and I assigned that. Again, I'm just doing assign now. Let's click on assign later. So there you can see, you can set up when you want it to go live and set up an expectation for when it's completed for. So, but we'll just do assign now there. Okay, so that's basically how we assign those activities. But let's just come back in and just recap though that as the activities are completed, you see here all the scores coming in. So I can see already that Marty's really quite strong here. I'm just going to also, because we did fractions at the end of the spring term, let's open that one up as well. So you can see the first block of spring at the beginning of the topic, we've got an Are You Ready? So that looks at the objectives from the year group below. So that would be an ideal thing. When I'm starting a topic, I would often do the Are You Ready activity first so that I can just check that all my students have mastered the learning from the year below. And then at the end of the topic, we've got the topic test there. And what that does is it gives them a few questions from each of those activities. So it's really testing to see have they mastered the activities within that topic. So you see here in the second block, we're not doing the Are You Ready? Because we did that at the beginning of fractions, but we do a little end of topic test there that looks at those activities as well. So you can see immediately here, it's very easy to spot anybody's weaknesses. We can see that Marty's really strong, but for some reason here, that particular activity he has struggled with. So if we click in there, we can see that he's attempted it 5 times. So let's have a look and see what's going on. Okay, so it looks like he did at first get it, but since then he has really struggled with it. So maybe that's when we taught it, and when it was fresh in his mind, he understood it. And then something has happened, and for some reason he's not understanding it now. So that there would highlight to the teacher, I'm just going to go and sit with Marty. Let's do it again together. And then once I know that actually he's ready to have another go, I can come in here and I can simply reassign it to him. So you can also use this little flash arrow here. So if I want to highlight the activities that were within that score band, you can see I selected their results between 50 and 85. And we've just got those two there. So it highlights those and I can quickly just reassign those as well. So let's have those students just having another go at those and see if when they redo it, they can score to get them into the green. But you'll see how this table is going to build into a really useful overview of how your students are tracking. So again, if for instance, if I was doing it over the term, then if we just select some of these, so we'll just do those there. So now you can see, for instance, that I've got Marty over the year tracking really strong across everything. There within multiply and divide, most of my class doing well there. I've assigned some additional activities, but you can see how for a real class, you're going to get a good view of how everybody's progressing. And remember that all of that links back to those White Rose Maths documents. So then let's come back and we're also going to talk about assigning the skills quest. So across to skills quest now. And in here, under curriculum, we need to choose the England programme. And then under the England programme, you'll see for White Rose Maths for years 3, 4, 5 and 6, there is a White Rose Maths version of the skills quest. So my class is a year 3 class. So I'm going to select year 3 there. And when I come into the filter here, you'll see that what I've already selected is that summer block about fractions again. So I've started everybody off with those mathletics activities. And then once some of my students are ready for a little bit of extra challenge, I'm going to be assigning them some of these quests. So that I can see what they actually look like, again, I do that little drop down there, and I can see this one has got 2 steps to it. So it links it to the outcome there, so I can read the outcome. And here I get to see an example of what the questions look like. So now I can see that it's applying that learning to really a problem here. I can demonstrate it, so I can show my students how it works on my interactive whiteboard, particularly with the audio here. So this part of the program, if I've got students that speak English as an additional language, so for instance, if I come down here, I could select Romanian, it's going to read Ukrainian, it's going to read it to me in Ukrainian, and if I click the text box, there it's going to translate it for me. And it will do that audio and the written translation in all the languages that Google Translate currently supports. So here I'm going to just have a look at the question. So who walks further? Ken walks further because 2/3 is less than 5/6. And check my answer and I get a tick there. And again, you'll see I'm earning 10 points per question and I get a bonus 50 when I complete the level. But in these, my student has to get 5 in a row correct or 6 out of 8 correct. So what that means is for my most confident student, they're literally going to be able to do 5 questions. I get them all right. I level up to the next level. So my able students can move through these quickly because they're ready to move on. My students that are struggling a little bit have to keep working through and practicing until they achieve either a streak of 5 or that 6 out of 8. So it ensures that those children that need the additional practice get it, and those children that really are ready to move on are moved on quickly. So that's how those work. And then once I've had a look at it, once I might have modeled to it, I assign it in just the same way. So if I'm assigning it to everybody, simply click there. Now in assign here now, it's I only have the option of assigning it straight away. So this time when I click assign, you'll see that it's been assigned straight away there. Now I'm going to go and we'll have a look at how this is now looking on the student console. So let's come through here to Marty. So now we can see Marty now has 2 activities there to complete. He's also got 2 quests in here to complete. And you'll see that those are from White Rose Maths now because they're SU, they're summer work on fractions, summer work on fractions. And across here too, we know that that's been taken from the White Rose Maths activities. But you'll see at the moment that Marty could go across here and work independently. He could go in here and go and do live mathletics or multiverse. But if I want him to be focused on those activities, I simply go to the lock up at the top and I'm going to put that student lock on. So now if I come back here and we just refresh this, what we'll find now is that those areas are grayed out now until Marty completes those 2 activities. So let's just pop back to the PowerPoint and make sure that I'm covering everything I plan to. So we've looked at assigning the courses, we've looked at assigning the skills quests, how also to model them in class. And I'm also going to just show you the offline resources now. Now, if you recall, I showed you this document. So this document here, for instance, shows us we're doing fractions. We've had a look at the activities, but you'll see here that it highlights these printable resources. So ebook D, pages 15 to 16. So I come back to my teacher console I come down to the resource hub, into the Mathletics library. I'm in year 3. So you can see these are all D, and I'm going to just have a look for the book. So Fractions D, that's the book I want. Download that ebook. And if we scroll through to page 15, so let's just come down a little bit. So you'll see all of these pages, 6, a little bit further, 11. There we go. Okay, 14 and 15. So, or 15 and 16. There we go. There's equivalent fractions. So principles there to support your students on doing equivalent fractions. You also notice that that document referred to the rainbow forest. So if we, not rainbow forest, rainforest maths. So come into Mrs. Fisher's class. So I'm back in the student view, across to my primary console. So rainforest maths is a great area, and often students don't really sort of do much of it, partly because you don't earn points in it. Not sure why it's not opening up for me in there at the moment. Let's just undo that lock, and I'm going to just go in as a student. So let's go in as Marty. Update Marty's console there. So come in here and rainforest maths, and like I say, you should go into the demonstration student. I'm not sure why mine's not working right at this moment, but again, I could call the student out. They've logged in. I'm going to model to them. We know it's level D. There's fractions there, and click on the fraction wall. And now you can see that this is great because I can actually move these pieces around. So here the question, a half is equivalent to how many quarters? I get my half, and we can actually place it on top there. So we need to click into the box, and then I'm going to simply click on the number that we want. So 2/4 is equivalent to a half, and check, and then move on to the next question. So a half is equivalent to how many 6? And I can do exactly the same there. So you can see that that's a great piece to actually use on the interactive whiteboard, great visuals in there. And of course, also once students have had it demonstrated to them, they're going to be more likely to come back into this area when they really need to play with some maths manipulatives and sort of really get some pictorial maths representations, because that's what this area is particularly great at. So, and like I say, every time there's something great, if it's aligned to White Rose Maths, it's going to be in that document that we looked at. So they're highlighting the area in there. And as you go through, so there's another piece from White Rose Maths aligned to Rainforest Maths in there. So and more Rainforest Maths, more ebooks there. So right at the breadth of Mathletics, all supporting your teaching with White Rose Maths, and of course your students learning as they're going through the White Rose Maths scheme of learning. So those are where the documents are. And then let's just come down now. So we're going to just go and have a look at the assessment and fill learning gaps area. So back into Mathletics, back to assign and review. And you'll see that we've here got assessments. So if I click into assessments, and again, let's go for England. We've got year 3 here. And if we have a look, so I know that White Rose Maths do a termly arithmetic test and also a termly reasoning assessment. So you'll find in Mathletics from year 2 to year 6, termly arithmetic and assessments. You'll also see here, for instance, lots of multiplication tests. So obviously that's supporting you with the run up to the year 4 times table test. So let's just select here. So with this example, I've just got a couple of students that have completed this assessment. Let me just see if I can find one that I've got more of my students that have completed. There's a good example. Okay, so once you've found the test you want to do, you don't need to assign them every question. You can see here the grey, I've not assigned them every question. So you can preview your selection before you assign it to your students. So once your students have completed an assessment, if you click here, so it says, for instance, here, Catherine got 60%. There's no red dot there, so that shows me that I haven't been in and reviewed that. So I can come in here, I can click on the ones that she got incorrect, so I can see where her errors are. And then in terms of the fill learning gaps, if I click onto fill learning gaps, actually, let me rephrase that. No red dot means I have reviewed it. Red dot means I haven't. So this one here, Maze, I haven't reviewed yet. So I again come in, click on the ones where there's been an error, so I can see where those errors were. And now that I've reviewed it, you can see now there's no red dot. So across to fill learning gaps. And what that's doing is here for the whole class, it's highlighted the 5 questions that most of my students got incorrect. So it's going to pull you up the 5 questions that they struggled with as a class. And then underneath that there, these activities, if I click assign to the group, it's going to assign these quests which address these learning gaps. Alternatively, I can click here and I can work through individual students. Ashes are all greyed out because I've already got those assigned to him. But if I scroll through, for instance, here's Dot. So dots are all ticked there because she's not done those before. They're not, haven't been assigned. So I can simply assign those. So now it's gone grey because they are now assigned to Dot. So that's a great area, like I say, to do assessments and then to very quickly and easily assign quests matched to where there are those gaps. So finally, I'm just going to touch on the reporting. So last slide here. So across to reporting, and we're going to go to reports. We're going to go to student reports. You'll have noticed there that there were quite a lot of tabs with different reports. I come to student reports because within student reports, you in essence get 4 different sets of reports. So let's start with participation. Under the date range, so if I was still teaching, I would be coming in here every week and looking at this week. Obviously, I'm just using a demonstration class, so I'm going to keep it set at this year. You'll also see custom date there, so you can pull off reports for half a term, whatever period of time you want. I'm just going to look at my class there. So for instance, here now, I've got all my students, so those in the main class, those in that additional group. I can order them by points, so I can see if I'm doing this weekly, I could see who my class mathlete of the week was, for instance. If I drill down into individual students here, I can see their usage split across live mathletics, those core activities, and those skills questions. And I can also see their time within each of those different areas there. If I then move across to activity mastery, so those are those sets of 10 questions here. So for Marty now, I can see how he's progressing in each topic. If I open that up, I can see there how he's doing in all of those. And really useful over here, I've got all his strengths by topic and activities. And if we click across there, if he's got any weaknesses, it's going to highlight it for me over there as well. If he's completed topic tests, those topic tests will be recorded in there as well. If I want to see an overview of all the class, simply back up to the top. And now again, this would be a class overview of the topics that they were strong at and the activities, and then highlighting any topics or activities where some of the class might have struggled a little bit. So then we drop down to the skills quests. Now the skills quest reporting is new, and currently the skills quest reporting pulls the data from assigned skills quests. So remember, this is what goes into their to-do list, not if you've got skills quests in the explore area. So just where you've got it assigned to them. But if I click into this report here for Marty. So you can see I'm looking at the white rose maths. If I've assigned him some from other programs, you can see I can toggle down and I can have a look at what he's done from other courses, or I could click show all work and then it will detail anything that's been assigned from another course. Where he's completed things, you see the curriculum standard. You'll see the name of the quest, and if you hover over there, again, you'll see how he's done there, that accuracy and the number of steps completed all showing there. These also you can export, and I'll just show you the exported document because again, I think this would be a really useful document if you were assigning quests over the year, addressing the learning that you're covering. You're going to see that this is going to build up into a really useful report because it takes you back to the curriculum standard. So you've got curriculum standard and then the quest. So you can see how your students progress as you move through all those different curriculum standards. So that really takes us through everything that we cover in the White Rose Maths webinar. I'm just going to highlight to you, if we go back to support.3plearning.com. So if we go in here, that if you go across to webinars, then click into view webinars and Mathletics there, then you'll see that if you want to sign up and watch the webinar live, and if you've got questions, obviously we'll cover any questions that come up throughout the session. So click there to find out when it's next on live. We also do a Mathletics deeper dive, so that covers that you could see there were still areas within the program that I haven't covered in this video. So if you want to go even deeper into Mathletics, there's the deeper dive there. And if you've got colleagues that are new to Mathletics, there's also the introduction to Mathletics there. Alongside that too, there are additional training videos in there. And I'm just going to remind you, if you come up here and across to Principal Guides, there are a host of printable guides all in this area. They're just taking a moment to come up. So all those printable guides. And if you go across to teaching and learning, at distance learning, teaching and distance learning, and scroll down to the bottom here, there are 2 videos there around Mathletics to support teaching and learning with White Rose Maths. So again, if you've got parents that want to know a little bit about how Mathletics is supporting their child when they're also covering, following the White Rose Maths scheme of learning, then those videos are there and could be shared with either parents or if your governors were interested as well. So I hope this recorded webinar has been useful. Don't forget to come into the support.3p learning. There's lots of links for help there. Also, when you're within Mathletics, remember there's a need help button there that takes you into that area. And there's also a button there to click if you have any feedback. And finally, just a reminder that for schools across Europe and the UK, if you have any questions, contact cm@3plearning.com. So thanks again for watching, and bye for now.